Welcome to A Poor Millionaire. Today we're going to talk about why I feel like a college education isn't as important as it used to be. How about we check out what Elon Musk thinks about it?
There's no need even to have a college degree at all, or even high school. If somebody graduated from a great university, that may be an indication that they will be capable of great things, but it's not necessarily the case. If you look at, say, people like Bill Gates or Larry Ellison, Steve Jobs, these guys didn't graduate from college. But if you had a chance to hire them, of course, that would be a good idea. It's kind of funny, if you think of what is education, you're basically downloading data and algorithms into your brain. And it's actually amazingly bad in conventional education, because it shouldn't be this huge chore. Someone's standing up there kind of lecturing at people, and they've done the same lecture 20 years in a row, and they're not very excited about it. And in fact, I think a lot of things people learn, probably there's no point in learning them, because they never use them in the future. Because a lot of kids are just in school kind of puzzled as to why they're there.
Welcome to A Poor Millionaire. We talk about success, we talk about getting motivated, and we talk about getting rich. If you want to get motivated to be successful and be rich, then this is the channel for you. Please subscribe and press the like button as soon as humanly possible. Today we're going to talk about college and 10 reasons why you should probably not go to college, and you should probably not encourage your kids to go to college. Now, obviously, before I get started, I've got to do all the disclaimers. So let's go through the disclaimers on why college might be a good idea for some. And obviously, some of you guys who are watching this have already been to college. And some of you are going to say, hey, I got a degree and I got a $100,000 job and I'm doing great and everything worked out and I paid off all my debt. But you're the exception, not the rule. Most cases, people are getting large amounts of debt. They're getting low standard jobs, and they're not being able to pay off that debt as fast as they like to. There are lots of people. If your main reason for going to college is just about making money, well, making money there are a lot easier ways to make money, all right, than going to college. Obviously, if you're planning on being a doctor, a lawyer, an architect, if you're planning on being one of these things and it absolutely requires a degree and you want to learn about the field, then this might be a way for you to get that job, obviously. If you're going to be an accountant, you're going to learn basic accounting and get your degree and go be an accountant, then that might be a good degree. So now we've got the disclaimers. There are certain people that college might be good for, but we're going to go through all the reasons why you shouldn't go. Obviously, there will be exceptions to all these rules and all these reasons. You might be an exception. Your kids might be an exception. You might have a kid who's like, hey, he's always wanted to be a doctor, and their whole reasoning for going to college is become a doctor. It's not about the money. It's about the career. It's about the career path. And if they're focused on that, then that would be the exception to all these rules on why they shouldn't go to college. Let's start off with the 10 reasons why you should not go to college, and you should not encourage your kids or others to go to college. First reason. The cost of college is extremely high right now. Most times we're looking at all in $100,000, and in some degrees are $200,000. This is astronomical cost, and the cost is only going up. This is increasing the debt. This is increasing the debt of our country. There are so many kids that are only going for 2 years, getting saddled with $20,000 to $30,000 to $50,000 worth of debt that they didn't even get the degree for. Even if it was a good degree, even if there was a job waiting for them, they just simply were not best suited for college. There's a list of reasons why a person might not be best suited for college. Could be that just they don't take standardized tests very well. Could be they just don't sit still very well. Could be they just not really interested in the subject they went for. They said, hey, I want to be a doctor. I've known friends of mine who said, hey, I want to be a doctor. They go start med school and they realize 2 years in, they just don't want to do it. It's not for them. It's just not that interesting. Not as interesting as they thought it was. Sounded cool on paper, but when they got into it, they realized this isn't what they're going to do. They got out of med school, and now guess what? They're saddled with 2 years of college that they didn't need, 2 years of wasted time. The cost of college is outrageous, and it's only getting higher. And the more people we put into college, more the loans, the whole system is set up for failure, guys. All right, number 2 reasons why you shouldn't go to college. Going to college if your reason to go to college is to get rich, your reason is to get a job, well, when you go to college, you're taking 4 years off from not working. This is 4 years you're going to not be in the work field. You're not going to be actually learning in the real world what it is to do to make money. You can use these, if your goal is to get rich, you could easily use these 4 years in a trade to get yourself to $100,000 within 4 to 5 years. You could be sitting at $100,000 when the guy gets out of college and he's starting his job, doesn't know anything, he's starting at $28,000. The cost of taking 4 years off from the workplace, of all the learning that you're gonna miss, all the opportunities to make money, is massive. That is a massive cost on you and on society when you don't go to work for the next 4 years. Not all the learning you're not going to do and all the money you're not going to make. So not only is it the money that you are going in debt for, it's also the years of money that you would have produced. You could have produced $30,000 that first year, 40 to 45,000 the second year, could have been hitting 60 the third, and then pushing 100 by the fourth or fifth. You picked the right career. There are a list of jobs, guys, that pay over $55,000 that do not require a college degree. Air traffic controller. There's millions of jobs. Actually, air traffic controller is probably the highest paying job that you do not need a college degree for. You can make over $100,000 as an air traffic controller. Yes, it's extremely a tough field, and you got to go to schooling for it to be an air traffic controller, but it's not college, right? There's lots of fields where you have to go to trade school for a year or 2 years, and then you get out and you're making 100. And within a short amount of time, you're making $100K a year. These are things that we need in society. The 4 years that you take off is going to hurt you in the long run. If you use those 4 years appropriately, you can surpass. It's a 4-year head start. You're going to start the race 4 years behind, and years are massive. All right, 4 years ahead, 4 years behind. Number 3 reason why you shouldn't go to college. It's not the real world. Basically, you're not, and it's part of the number 2 reason where you're 4 years behind. Well, the college not being the real world, it's like you're still a kid. When you go to school and you're going in these classes and you're not actually working, you're not actually producing, you're not actually you're basically stunting your own personal development because you're not growing up. Growing up is going out and getting your own job, going out and making your own way, going out and learning. It's not the environment. You're actually learning the opposite direction. You're still learning about being a child instead of learning about being an adult, about going out and finding your own way, and about producing, and about taking responsibility. College is the opposite of taking responsibility because you're sheltered, all right? And that's why they get into these sheltered existence where college students need safe spaces. In the real world, there is no safe space, all right? That's just the way it works. That's the perfect example of this sheltering these kids from growing up. It's not the real world. If they grow up, they're going to become more productive and better members of society faster. Which brings me really correctly into number 4. College has become extremely political, all right? And becoming more political all the time. It's so left-leaning. And they are teaching the kids, and this is the problem when you're a parent and you actually want to send your kids to college. You're a parent, you send your kids to college to learn so that they can become better members of society, more productive members, so they can get a degree and get a job and become a productive member of society. Well, these colleges today are filled with extreme leftist politics. All right, extreme, where they're teaching the kids that things that aren't important in the real world are important, and they're teaching the kids that the government should pay their bills, the government should help them. It's always someone else's fault. It's not their fault. It's not their responsibility. This huge amount. You start the kid off as let's say, not very productive, but somewhat productive, right? And after college, they're even less productive because now they think that everyone owes them something. They think the reason why they can't get ahead is because of I don't want to use any examples here because I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get my blue check mark taken away, right? But you get the idea, guys. A lot of people are going to college, and when they get out of college, they think that the reason why they're not going to succeed is because of XYZ or some other thing. They're not taking personal responsibility. It's always someone else's fault. It's always someone else's responsibility. Or they get a guilt contract. They think that because of their station in life or their skin color, either A, they can't succeed, or B, they shouldn't succeed, or it's so much things that just don't matter. All right, it's irrelevant. You should be focused on building, creating, and making society better, not trying to figure out who's to blame, who's responsible, and also trying to get other people to pay for your bills. All right, and trying to make everything political and so left-leaning. I mean, sure, there were some good things about leftists originally, but we've moved from good things about leftists, we've moved to the extreme where now it's like they're just asking for handouts. Guys, if you want to get rich, you can't go around asking people for money. You want to be a productive member of society, you need to produce. Colleges are taking our kids and making them where they're not producing. They're becoming dependents. They want socialism. They want someone else to produce for them, and that just doesn't work. All right, you want to get rich? You can't say I want to get rich by the government sending me a check. All right, you want to be productive? You can't do that. You can't say I need to be productive. I want other people to be productive for me, so that and if I can't be productive, it's someone else's fault. No, it's not someone else's fault. It's your fault. It's your responsibility. You need to grow up. You need to take responsibility. This is part of that problem of the so politicized. That brings me into one little side note. Colleges are also very dangerous for people getting suspended. All right, you can get suspended basically for your political beliefs. You can also get suspended if you are a male and you make some wrong decisions. It's a very risky situation. So you've got to be very, very careful about when you send your sons to college. You got to give them the, hey, you need to be very, very careful speech about how to behave. Because in college, it isn't like, you don't need the presumption of innocence. They have the presumption of guilt, especially when it comes to, heterosexual males. They have the presumption of guilt. They can, and let's say your son went to 3 years of college. You spent all this money getting him educated, and then he gets the presumption of guilt because some girl changed her mind. And boom, he's suspended. Even though no one pressed charges, he didn't go to jail, he didn't really do anything wrong. It's just some girl reported him and she had a change of heart about whatever happened between them, right? And boom, your son loses. He loses his education. He loses all that time. It's so risky. It's too much risk, all right? Too much risk, too political. This is a major reason why you should not encourage your kids, especially you males, to go to college, all right? Obviously, you can figure out ways around all this, but I'm telling you, this is a major reason why colleges are dangerous places to be. Number 5 is the risk that when you graduate from college, that job that you studied, all those courses you took for that job that you wanted to be, when you get out of college, it could be gone. It could be obsolete, or it could be changed so much. Let's say I'm gonna take a theoretical argument here. Let's say you want to be a lawyer. You study to be a lawyer. You get out of college, but somebody comes up with a supercomputer that basically is a law degree, and basically no longer need lawyers, or we need very few lawyers. We have 20,000 lawyers, or we have 1 million or 6 million, or I don't know, what is it, 20 million lawyers? There's so many lawyers, right? You got 20 million lawyers in the United States, and we only need 5 million now, right? It cuts all it down. You don't need a law firm to defend you now. You just need a program and a guy to recite it, and you only need 1 lawyer instead of 10 lawyers. So we suddenly have all these lawyers that have to retire, but you went to law school to study for that. And there are so many technologies that are coming online that are going to totally transform how we do things, guys. They could be studying for a degree in a field that's no longer going to be, by the time you get out of college. You can start college and it's a high-paying field needing people. By the time you end college, there could be nothing there. And you just wasted 4 years plus, or 6 years, or 8 years, depending upon if it's a doctor, lawyer, or some other field. You're taking a massive risk there that by the time you get out of college, that job won't even be available. Or we just won't need as many people, right? And they're going to be cutting back on those jobs instead of raising those jobs. That brings me to the next part of that. They're bringing in a lot of H-1B visa employees to cut the cost. So you get a degree and you're like, hey, I'm going to get a degree and this is a high-paying job. Well, if it's a high-paying job, well, is corporate America not going to bring in somebody on an H-1B to do that job for half the price it was? I mean, they can bring in guys from India to do it, and then normally it pays $60,000. They can bring in guys to pay $30,000. You just spend $100,000 getting this degree, and you're fighting against a guy who spent $10,000 to get his degree in India. Who's going to win? And he's going to be willing to work for $30,000 and small raises for the next couple years, whereas you want to start off at like 40 to 50 and work your way to 100, but that isn't going to happen anymore. That job's going to be like 35 starting year, or 30 starting year, and then 35 5 years from now. And the highest you ever make in that's going to be 40,000. This is the risk that you're taking when you get a college degree. That it's not going to pay as much as you think that it's going to pay. Number 6 is there's too many people going to college, guys. The market is saturated with people who have degrees. This is why we have people with college degrees, master's degrees, college degrees, delivering pizzas, right? They spent $100,000 on their college education, and they're delivering pizzas for a living because they can't find a job, because there's so many people in the market. And not everybody is going to have the communication skills. Not everybody's going to have the life experience. A lot of times they're going to say, hey, we're not hiring anybody that doesn't have experience. Right? So you've got this master's degree, and you go in there and you think, hey, I went and I paid my dues, I paid my money, I've got this loan, I've got this debt, I've got to get a job. You get out there in the workplace, but your communication skills are very low, whereas a couple other people are a little higher. There's only so many jobs to go around, and there's so many people out there with degrees. Everybody's got a degree. You're going after the same job when we've got... Right now, we have so many people going after college degrees and very little people going after trade school. Well, guess what? Guess how much people in trade are getting paid more money now than college people, because so many people are like, well, I don't want to be a welder, or I don't want to be a plumber, or I don't want to be in construction. And plumbing, construction, and welder, and all these trade fields, and computer engineering, and all that other stuff, all these things that the 2-year trades degrees and 2-year trade stuff, for real jobs, these things, because nobody wants to go in there because of the stigma, these jobs are starting to push higher and higher and higher on the pay. All right, so there's more pay pressure on those jobs, and extremely less pressure because there's so many people with degrees. Everybody's got a degree, right? When everyone has one, it has no value. Number 7. When you go to college, there's too many degrees. This brings me, a lot of these are very correlated the same. When you go to college, there's too many people, there's too many degrees that you can go and get that do not pay money. A college doesn't say, all these degrees are not paying money, so I'm going to stop offering them. They'll give you a degree in anything. You want to do Russian poetry, they're going to give you a degree in it. You're going to pay them $100,000 for a degree in Russian poetry, and if there's no job available, or there's like 20,000 people who went and got a Russian poetry degree, right? And there's only 5 jobs available in the entire country. Well, you're not going to be able to use that degree. It's completely worthless, and you wasted all that time learning stuff that's not going to produce money, and you've got this huge debt. But the college isn't going to take it away. They ain't going to say, well, there's only 5 jobs, so we're not going to offer this course because it's not economically viable. No, the college is going to keep on pushing it out, and people are they're allowing students to pick things that don't pay or don't have jobs waiting for them. So, and they're not going to tell you, hey, there's no jobs available for this degree that you're applying for. They should end it. If there was any type of accountability in this system, they would end these programs. They would say, hey, there's just not a lot of jobs for feminists once you graduate college, right? Obviously, there are jobs for feminists, but there just isn't 20 million jobs for feminists. Not everybody can be a feminist and make money at it, all right? There's just not a lot of jobs. The same thing with Russian poetry, same thing with music degrees. There's so many degrees that you could just basically say, well, this really interests me, so I'm going to, and it interests a lot of people. And a lot of people are paying these huge amounts, going into debt, getting these degrees, popping out of college with this fancy degree and something silly like German polka, right? And it's like, what are you doing? Are you actually getting value? Are you going to bring value to the market? Is there someone going to hire you for that, right? No, they're not. Number 8, reason why you shouldn't go to college. If your goal is to make money, college doesn't teach you about basic money, finance, and about entrepreneurship and building a business. They just don't. Now, obviously, they do have some courses, but these courses are taught by people who've never started a business. They're taught by people who aren't entrepreneurs. The true, real entrepreneurs that are out there doing it, they're too busy making money to actually be teaching classes to people about how to make money. If you can make millions and millions of dollars, would you be in a classroom teaching people how to make money? And if you did, maybe you just come by once a year and do a class, but you wouldn't be teaching there. That wouldn't be your job. Your job would be to be an entrepreneur. They just don't have that type of. There should be a college that's just for entrepreneurs. But the problem then being is not everybody's going to succeed at that, right? But that is the thing. If you want to be rich, you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to build a business, you want to become successful, you want it to take the path less traveled. Then you're going to have to pick something besides college. Now, obviously, they want people to go to college because they want cogs in the machine. They want people to go out and do the normal thing. If everybody was an entrepreneur, it'd be kind of tough. But unfortunately, in the economy that we're rolling into, it's more about being an entrepreneur. It's more about creating your own business. It's more about creating your own brand. There's less and less of people working regular jobs. There's more opportunity right now in entrepreneur and building businesses than there is in standard jobs. All right, yes, you can become successful. You can become a doctor and have your practice. You can become a lawyer, have your practice. You can become a plumber, but that's not college. You can become all these fields and make $100,000, make $200,000, and make those successful and rich. Some of these other jobs are starting to disappear. Not those jobs; those are solid jobs. But your basic college level jobs, a lot of these jobs are going to be either A, replaced with outside resources like H-1Bs, or B, they're going to be replaced by computers. So these things are going after these standardized jobs, right? And they're going to eliminate them. Being a creative thinker, starting your own business, being an entrepreneur, these aren't going to be obsolete. These are things that you can create and find ways to make money. So that's the reason why college doesn't teach you how to be an entrepreneur. You're going to have to learn that either by trial and error, or by YouTube videos, by watching my YouTube videos, or by watching other YouTube videos. That's how it's going to be. Number 9 reason why you shouldn't go to college, or you shouldn't encourage your kids to go to college. Number 9 is college is standardized testing. And not everybody's going to be good at standardized testing. College is standardized learning. Not everybody's going to be good. Not everybody's going to learn the best in a sitting in a room with 500 people, having a TA teach that class and basically just recite something, not their best performance, just the same thing they do every single day of the standardized stuff. Guys, it's all standardized. It has to be standardized because they're thinking the old school way of doing stuff. Old school. Literally, this is old school. College is old school. All right? So when you're doing standardized testing, you're doing standardized teaching, there's not room for a teacher to come in and try different things on how to teach you. And plus, if you're the kind of learner who doesn't learn that well in that situation, it's not going to help. It's just, you're not going to understand it. Some people just can't sit still. Some people like to learn while they're moving. They like to learn by example. They like to learn by trial and error. And those people still become very successful. There's lots of people that become successful who can't make it in college, right? Einstein flunked out of college. Michael Dell flunked out of college. Bill Gates didn't go to college. Steve Jobs stopped going to college. They don't have college degrees. All right, there's millions of examples of people who basically college, they couldn't even pass it. They couldn't go through college and actually make it because they couldn't deal with standardized tests. They couldn't deal with standardized teaching, and it's boring. You go to college and it's boring and you don't enjoy it, it's hard for you to do it. Now, I say this as a person, when I have attended some college, and I did enjoy going to school. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, but I felt it was more for fun than it was for me actually learning anything. Some of the classes I could teach, so it's kind of just a waste. But you got to get that piece of paper. I never did graduate with my degree. It's just not worth it, guys. It just isn't. Obviously, there are circumstances where it is worth it, but those are specific circumstances. I think for the majority of people and the majority of kids, I think college is going to be more negative than positive. All right, the risk is too high unless your kids are extremely motivated, well-tuned for college, can deal with standardized testing, standardized learning, and they are going for a field that pays like doctor, lawyer, architect, engineer, something that actually requires a degree. Then that's what they should do. If it doesn't require a degree, I would highly recommend you don't go to college. And number 10. Number 10 is the big one, guys. College is basically obsolete. All right? And I know you're out there. If you've got a college degree, I apologize. And maybe it worked out for you. Like I said, you could have gotten your college degree. You could have gotten your good college job. You could have made you could be making $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year on your job. You are successful and lucky. You got in and got out before the collapse. College is destined for failure, guys. The price of college is going through the roof. Well, this is one of those things that technology is going to wipe out. College it is a fat cow just waiting for someone to come along and just slaughter it. All right, it is obsolete. It's old way of thinking. It's industrial revolution thinking and a technology error. There's no reason why you can't learn college on a computer watching videos of professors, all right? And a much cheaper, so much cheaper, at 1,000th of the cost of actually going to a school with a brick and mortar. Guys, how many times have brick and mortar buildings being destroyed? Any business that has massive buildings on land that requires but aren't actually required. You're just learning. You're just, as a student, you are basically just learning. You can do the learning in front of your computer, your laptop, your TV, and you can get basically all of the stuff necessary. This is an obsolete way of doing things. We've been teaching people this way for 200 years, and we think that it's exactly the way it's going to be. This is horse and buggy, and the car's already been invented. All right, and it's just a matter of time before everyone switches from the horse and buggy to the car. And when they switch, it's going to be massive and it's going to be instant. And if you're in the middle of a horse and buggy, you've already paid for your horse and buggy, you're going to be left holding the bag, because you're paying for something. You're paying exorbitant price for something that's not going to be as good and it's not going to be as cheap as when it comes out with the automobile, basically. Guys, I know this is hard for some people to agree with. I know some of you guys are going to be in the comments and you're going to slaughter me, and that's okay. I understand. I'm willing to take that risk. If you went to school and you worked your butt off and you earned a 4-year or 6-year or 8-year degree, and you're making money with that and that worked out for you, congratulations. You are one of the lucky ones. I am worried about all the people who are just starting out and just about to go to college. I feel like the risk reward, everything's an investment. And the risk reward for college, the risk is so high and the reward is so low, and the actual cost of college is even higher, and it's only going up. At what point? I mean, you could agree with me that paying for $1 million for a college degree is not worth it, right? At what amount of money does it become where it's not worth it? Is it $900,000? Is it $800,000? At what price point does college become so expensive and so ridiculous that you say, okay, now it's not worth it? Because we are going there. It's nonstop until that sacred cow gets slaughtered, guys. This is a technology. Everything in our environment is going to change very rapidly in the next 10 years. And it's a scary time to be alive. It's a fun time because we get weird cyber trucks, we get weird Tesla cars, we get all sorts of new inventions, laptops, computers, all these technologies are going to change the way we do things. Self-driving cars. When self-driving cars take over, it's going to completely wipe out the trucking industry. Well, there's a lot of technologies that are about to come online that are going to totally change how we do things. And you've got to be nimble. And you need to be productive, and your kids, when you go, you need to have them prepared for this new technological era that we're moving into. Guys, I really appreciate you listening to this video. It's been a little long, but hopefully you get a general idea of why I say college is not for everyone. Obviously, you might be the exception. Your kids might be the exception. So please forgive me if I am attacking your sacred beliefs. I did go to college. I did enjoy it. I did not graduate with a degree. I probably would have just gone to college for fun. If that's your goal, if your kids just want to go to college for fun and entertainment, then that's another thing, right? But as far as actual value, I think the value of investing that money someplace else would be a greater value, and I think investing your time somewhere else will be a greater value. Guys, I appreciate you tuning in, and I will see you in the next video.
A lot of people follow. A lot of people are followers. Generally, if not, we'd have problems. We have too many entrepreneurs. We have too many successful people. Like, look how many people go through business classes. If everything you needed was in that actual business class, in that book, it'd be too many successful business people. Right. How many people graduate? Matter of fact, the professor wouldn't have the time to sit there and teach you. That knows this book damn near verbatim, page by page. He knows it, right?
Because he'd be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, he's too busy. I'm doing way too much right now because I got the palm trees and we selling so much of stuff that I'm doing that I ain't quite got time to teach no more class right now because I'm winning.